Welcome back to another episode of the MX Endurance Podcast, where we look at everything that's been happening in the world of endurance sports. My name is Tim Ford, and I'm joined for the first time in 2022. Can you believe it? James Bale, the penultimate legend, the sexy shepherdess, the sexiest voice in triathlon. Welcome back to the podcast, mate. How the hell is it 2022?
Mate, we are so back. We are so back. And I always think about this when the new year comes along. I remember lying in bed when I was a very young boy thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be 14 in the year 2000. That's so old. And now it's 2022. So I'm really old now. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing all right. My year has started. I started by hitting the training hard. I went out for a run the other day and I fell in a pothole and broke my ankle. So I've currently got a broken ankle. But other than that, life is good. How are you, bro?
Well, you talk about old. I had a birthday this week, and I turned the old age of 36. And the thing about it, the thought, because I don't really care how old. Like, to be honest, I don't mind. But what got me about turning 36 was I am now the same distance from my 18th birthday as I was when I was born. And I remember being a kid thinking, like, man, once I turn 18, life's going to get good. And I've now done that entire span of my life again. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm
Question is,
that
has life
one
got
hurt a
good
little
yet?
bit. Mate, life's very good. I've had a great start to the year. I know you saw this. I got a special birthday video thanks to Mikael Eden sorted out. I got a birthday message from Christian Blumenfeld and Gustav Eden, which put a smile on my face. I had so many people from MX reach out to me. People on social media reach out to me and stuff. It was fantastic. So I've had a great start to the year, mate. Always enjoy the start to the year. Did the Festive 500. It was actually quite nice to just take a bit of a break, mate. Like, as we sort of said, we haven't done this this is what, 3 or 4 weeks since we actually recorded an episode. The last time we recorded was, in fact, it's almost a month, to be honest. In fact, it is a month. It's 20th. It's been a month since we recorded an episode of the podcast, mate. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I've forgotten how to do it. If I'm honest, it's been that long.
I got through the intro.
But, yeah, totally. I mean, there's plenty to come, though, isn't there? We've got a lot to talk about. The year is rising up in front of us, and it's nice. I know COVID is still very much a thing. We've got so far into the pod. We got 2 minutes into the podcast without mentioning COVID, but it's still a thing. But it does feel like the footprints of COVID are going to have less of an impact on our world and our sport this year. So we might mention COVID less, and we might have much more racing to talk about, and much easier form of travel as well.
Well, that's what we're talking about this week. We're going to be looking at some predictions for what's going to happen this year. But before we get to those predictions, and let's see how I go. This podcast is the official podcast of MX Endurance, the world's premier endurance sports community, created by 4-time world champion Chris McCormack. Jimbo, you've been part of MX for literally years now. You've been doing this podcast for literally years now. And I ask you this question every time. So for the first time in 2022, James Bell, what's something you like about MX Endurance?
Well, it's better than normal this week, mate, because we've made the decision in the last few days, haven't we, to formalize and finalize our plans to do a MX Endurance training camp in the week leading up to St. George World Championships in May. So we're going to be opening that up to all MX members and all future potential MX members to come along and spend a week training in St. George, Utah, leading up to the World Championships. Doing sessions every day, having live podcast recordings, doing all manner of different things, all kinds of access, and then having a watch party with the race. So get involved, everybody.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. It's something that we've been, going back and forth with, like, we'll be able to and everything. And it was literally like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago where we were just like, we're doing this, aren't we? Like, yep, hell yeah. It's going to be absolutely epic. I think the plan is we're going to do, bike rides and everything every single day. Then we're going to line up some interviews with the pro triathletes who are out there. So if you're listening, get ready, guys. We're coming to have a chat with you. And then we'll go, have dinners and stuff. And then on race day, we'll all get dressed up and spectate the biggest race of the year. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll announce more information, but it's not going to be a very expensive thing. We're going to make it a pretty low bar for people to come and get involved because we just want to have a great crew out there. And I think celebrate the fact that, I've always said MX Endurance shines when we get to do these things, and we haven't really been able to do these things for the last couple of years. So I am personally so excited about the concept, the concept of getting back to doing events. We've got Sub 7 coming up where we're going to be doing a big MX event. We've earmarked Barcelona Ironman and 70.3 as an MX event. So we've got some good stuff coming up, mate, and it is getting me excited. I'm feeling very optimistic. You're right. It's good to to be, have the apple or the carrot of potential travel and stuff. So man, it's good. Puts a smile on my
You're
face.
right. The power of the community is when we can do things together. I mean, it's we've got that connection in the background. People chatting and talking all the time. People sending nice messages and supporting messages, especially when you've broken your ankle. That was. I've had some nice messages on the platform from that.
Yeah, I thought you went fishing
But
for. I thought you went fishing for sympathy with that post of you.
I did, yeah. But then But then ultimately, when we get to meet up and spend time together and do these fun races and training camps together, that's when you really get to know people and get to have a good time. And it must be quite the thing for you to be able to leave Australia, because I managed to do some travel at the end of last year, didn't I? But you haven't moved for a while, old Fordo.
I think this is the longest I've been without international travel since I was probably 18 years old. Like literally half my life, never gone this long without traveling overseas. So yeah, I'm very at risk of doing that thing of going way too hard. But we'll see what happens. But look, mate, we have gas bagged a lot longer than we normally do at the start of the episode. So let's get into it, because the good thing, James, about having not done this for a month is that we've got plenty of stuff to catch up on, and we've actually got to be a bit strategic about the things we are and aren't talking about. And who knows, mate, we might chop and change as we go. But this first thing I thought I want to talk about, because I saw this happen maybe a week ago, and as soon as it happened, I reached out to Mark Allen and said, I want you to come on our podcast and talk about this. So if you're listening, Mark Allen, I'm going to start hassling you, mate, because I want to get you on to talk about this. And that is the news that Mark Allen has a mind-blowing sub-7 prediction. Now, I got this great summary from Tri247. It didn't have an author, so it's either John or Graham, I assume. I might be wrong. But here we go. Mark Allen doesn't just believe a triathlete will succeed in going sub-7 this summer. It's merely a question of by how far. And he has an astonishing projection to share. The 6-time Kona King provided a detailed take on why and how it can be done. Speaking on his Mondays with Mark Allen YouTube series, he said, I love the idea to see what can be done. You might be thinking sub-7, that's going to be tough. Sub-8, that's going to be tough. Let me just step back for 1 minute and make a huge prediction. Both those times are going to get blown away. Let me just talk about the men's today. I'm going to be talking a lot about this over the next few months because it is so complex and there are so many factors involved. He said, I was thinking about it. If I was trying to go under 7 hours for an Ironman, I would try to swim around 45 minutes. I would try to bike around 3 hours 45, and that leaves me a 2.5 hour marathon. Do I think these are possible? I think they are more than possible, he said. He then looked at Jan Frodeno's Tri-Battle Royale Iron Distance World Record of 7:27. He said he did that without any assistance. He did a swim of basically 46 minutes. If you say just add 2 to 3 seconds per 100 meters, advantage of an athlete is going to get in the sub-7 project, that takes a minute and a half off that time. So in theory, somebody could easily go around 44:30, well under the 45-minute that is ideal that he thinks you need. He then looked at Alistair Brownlee. He said, based on his Olympic swim times, it's going to be about a 45-minute swim for him. And the swim is going to be tight, but probably within that range that's going to be ideal to break 7 hours. He then looked at Jan Frodeno's bike ride from the Tri-Battle, and he said he averaged 28.7 miles per hour. That's fast on his own. You add in a pace line, which adds 1 mile per hour onto Jan's split time that he did alone, they rode 342. That's under the 345 that you need. If you go 2 miles per hour faster drafting off other riders, and that's the minimum they say you'll gain, that puts the bike split at 3 hours, 24 minutes. That gives you a 21-minute advantage on the marathon, meaning if you run something like a 2:49, you're going to break 7 hours. He then talked about the run. He looked back when he was racing. He said, I raced the Nice International Triathlon. It was a 20-mile run, a number of years. I ran 60 minutes out on the way and 55 minutes on the way back. 6 minutes per mile on the way out, 5.5 on the way back. If you just average that out and expand it to a marathon, that's 5:45 per mile pace. That's 2 hours 30 for the marathon. Spot on. Especially if the bike ride is faster than the 3:45. If you can actually hold a 5:30 pace through the entire marathon, which I think is possible, you're going to run a 2:24 marathon. In the ideal, somebody could go, if you add it all up, 6 hours, 33 minutes for an iron distance race. He said, you might think I'm crazy, but I don't. And I think Alistair Brownlee or Christian Blumenfeld, one of those guys, has a chance of going that fast and blowing everybody away on what human beings can do for an iron distance race. James Bale, the man has spoken. What do you think?
This is what we want, isn't it?
This
This
is
is the
what we
sort of
want.
conversation. This is the sort of chat. This is the level of excitement and anticipation and prediction we want for the sub 7, sub 8, as opposed to what we have seen from certain quarters of the internet, which is the negativity about how it shouldn't be exist and it shouldn't be being done and yada, yada, yada. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. This is the kind of thing that it's trying to inspire. It's trying to inspire conversation. It's trying to inspire debate, and predictions like this from people like Mark Allen do nothing but add to that narrative and that conversation. Because ultimately, we all know it's not an official Ironman record. It's not trying to be, but what it's trying to do is show what the limit of human potential is when you start, tweaking around the edges and playing with the boundaries and the parameters. So yeah, I'm well up for it, and I love the way he's related it to back to when he was racing, what he's done. And a triathlon is three elements, and it's you often forget that you can just look at them individually and see what you can do. And I wouldn't be surprised myself if we saw the 7 hour barrier on the men's side being broken by a considerable margin. It's interesting that he didn't state which athlete he thought would do it,
Yeah.
but there's possibilities for both.
Although, let's read between the lines. He did specifically mention Alistair Brownlee's swim, so who knows, man? Maybe there's a little. And again, to be honest, guys, head to Try 24/7 if you want the full summary, or watch Mark's video. I picked out the best parts of that article for the. I didn't want to read the whole thing because we'd still be doing it. But I 100% agree with you, mate. This is the stuff that I love, and this is what gets me excited. Like again, I think what's probably difficult for our listeners, James, compared to ourselves, is that we are on the inside of this event, so we know a lot of stuff that we can't say, and I don't want to say, that is probably fueling our excitement for this a lot. So
Mm.
when people are like, "Oh, you guys are just ponies," it's like, no, we know things that people don't know yet, and that's why we're so excited. Like, I know who the paces are. I know what the course is. I know this stuff, and that's why I am so excited to see what this event is going to be. But I love that we have had like the people that are now coming out talking. We've had Adam Hansen talking about it. We have Mike Allen talking about it. The narrative is shifting, and I think that's only going to increase as we get closer and closer and closer to this event. I think what we saw Christian do at the end of last year has really changed people's approach, where they've gone to shit. Yeah, like this could absolutely happen now, and I'm all for it, mate. And I think Mark Allen is one of those people that when he speaks, you have to listen, and that's why I want to get him on the podcast to talk about this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you,
absolutely. And
yeah,
I think what the listeners need to understand as well about our position and our opinions on this, we're coming from this as fans of the sport as well. Yeah, we've
yep,
got the inside knowledge, but we've also coming it from fans of the sport. This is what we think and how excited we are about it. We're not
yeah,
simply mouthpieces for an organization repeating
correct.
talking points. If there was a situation where, let's say, I wasn't as excited about this project as I am, and you were, we would have that debate on air, and I
Yeah.
would put my real opinion forward. It's just the fact that it just so happens that we are both fucking excited for this. Eh? It's gonna be quite the weekend.
I mean, I think we've had those sort of conversations on the podcast before when some of the organizations we're involved with have done things that we haven't agreed with, and we've been quite happy to say that. Like, yeah, I think that's a very good point, and yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for lots of stuff. Again, we'll talk about that later, but let's get into the next. This excited me too a little bit actually. The next article comes from Try Today from Tim Moria, and that's the fact that Ashley Gentle says goodbye to World Triathlon Racing and hello to middle distance racing. Australian Ashley Gentle is saying goodbye to World Triathlon Racing. She announced this via Instagram. She will continue racing, but focus on longer distance triathlons in the coming years. Highlights of Ashley's career include 26th place at the Rio Olympics, win at the 2017 Mixed Relay World Championships, win in the 2018 World Triathlon Grand Final on the Gold Coast, and the first place at the 2019 Mooloolaba ITU Triathlon World Cup. She said, after starting my world triathlon career as a 16-year-old at Junior World Champs, there's absolutely no way I can summarize my experiences over the last 15 years in one Instagram post. Although I can say that I had some of my best times of my life racing on the blue carpet, my early years on the circuit, racing my childhood heroes is definitely a highlight. I didn't achieve what I wanted to in 2 Olympic campaigns, but it's time I picked myself back up to chase some new dreams. In 2022, I'll be stepping away from racing World Triathlon with Tri Australia, and I'll be taking on some new challenges in the middle distance world. Thank you so much to those who have supported me through it all. I'm feeling excited about the new direction. James Bale.
She's gonna be good, man.
She's going to be
She's
so
gonna be
good, man.
good. This is, she didn't have the Olympics she wanted last year. But yeah, she's going to be good. This is going to be, I think, a very good move for Ashley Gentle. I think we're going to see a very high performer step across to the middle distance racing and eventually long distance when she does it. And yeah, I don't think I don't think she's had. Um, I don't think it's a bad decision. I think she's had a glorious short distance career that she can be very proud of, and good luck for the future and stepping up to those 70.3s.
Yeah, I look at Ashley as an athlete, and we've always known that that weakness has been the swim. And as soon as you go into the longer stuff, the middle and Ironman eventually, but the middle distance, the swim is not as important as it is at those short course races because the group gets away and then it's a pack ride. So I think Ash with that run that she has, like honestly, mate, as an Australian, this makes me so happy because it's like yes. Yes, it's coming. Australia's going to start stepping up. I mean, we have not that we haven't, but we are really going to start. Like, I think Ash could win, mate. I think she could win 70.3 worlds. Like there's an early prediction, mate. Maybe not this year, but like I really think we're going to see Ashley General as a 70.3 world champion at some point in the next few years. So she's red hot, mate. It's very exciting.
Hey, you heard it here first. Tim Ford predicts Ashley Gentle wins the 70.3 World Championships in 2022.
I did not say that. Don't you be putting words in my mouth. I mean, no, maybe I don't know. But again, I'm very excited for that, and many people do call me Nostradamus. This next one, this is similar, and I'll be honest that when I saw this happening, I was very confused. But that is that Javier Gomez officially retires. From Draft Legal Racing. I got this little bit from Sarah Wesner Flynn at Triathlon Magazine. She said, after transitioning to the 70.3 and iron distance in recent years, Spain's Javier Gomez has officially retired from World Triathlon Racing. Gomez, a five-time World Triathlon champion and silver medalist at the 2012 London Games, returned to the draft legal racing scene last year in an attempt to secure a 2021 Olympic berth, all while continuing to train for longer events. He said, I raced ITU World Triathlon for 20 years and it made me the athlete I am today. I raced the most talented triathletes in the world of different generations, met amazing people, and I'm honored to be the athlete with more world titles and more wins in the sport. It was an incredible journey and I would like to thank everyone who was part of it. While Gomez's WTS days are behind him, he's certainly not shown any signs of slowing down. Just last week, the 38-year-old won, or maybe 2 weeks ago for us, won Ironman 70.3 Pucon, running an impressive 1:10 half marathon to take the win over Argentina's Luciano Tichone. Mate, so when I saw this, James, I literally saw World Triathlon announcing the retirement of Javier Gomez. I was like, what? Have I missed something? Like, what's going on? And then oh no, he's not doing short course anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, old man Gomez calling it a day on the short course. I mean, look, going as he did and doing as well as he has done up until the age of 38 over that short course distance is, astounding. He's astounding. He's a round about the same age as me, and I know what it starts to feel like when you get into your late 30s. So
You compare.
good on
You
him.
have swum faster than him, haven't you? So you can absolutely relate to Javier Gomez's experience, can't you?
James Bale has started a race alongside Javier Gomez on a beach. Yes, and I did hold him to the first buoy, but then I exploded. But still, he's mate. He's showing no signs of slowing down within the sport, and just like Ashley Gentle, he's stepping into the 70.3. I think it's good to see an athlete like him letting go of the short course and focusing solely on the middle and long, because I think it's kind of like what we saw with Brownlee when he was trying to straddle the distances. I think you set yourself up for, a higher likelihood of injury because you're balancing the two types of training. You're balancing, especially as you get a little bit older, you're
Yeah.
balancing the speed work you have to do, and then pushing it along on these races. And when you've done that, you're doing that speed work, and then you're going long in a race. Achilles, calves, all those little bits that might cause you an issue. Someone like Blumenfeld's managing it because he's still so young, and you can do whatever you want in your 20s, mate. You bounce, but I guarantee you do not bounce anymore in your 30s. And so,
You break
yeah,
ankles.
so mate, yeah, you break ankles, and oh man, I went down like I'd been shot. Anyway, it's good to see Gomez fully making the decision and focusing. What are your thoughts?
One of the byproducts of something we are very positive about is the short course athletes starting to step up to 7.3 and sort of race the two distances. I think and I don't want to say this is necessarily negative, but we do see some of them that I think could have had much more success committing to long course, not having it because they sort of keep feeding both pools. Like I look at what Jan did, and he was like, I'm done with short course, committed to long course, took a few years, and then boom, greatest of all time. I look at Alistair Brantley, Javier Gomez, two athletes that I absolutely consider of that same caliber as a Jan Frodeno, and they're not even close in most circles to being considered the same level as him anymore. And I feel like that is maybe because by being master of none or nothing at the moment, we have sort of seen, yeah, I'm not sure, maybe never reached their potential at either. Javier Gomez has got multiple 70.3 world titles. And I mean, that Malaysia race that he won, seven, whatever he did, seven something crazy in one of the hottest races on the planet is a result that I don't think enough people talk about. Him committing fully, just like Alistair Brownlee committing fully, is such an exciting prospect and something that I can't wait to see what happens for the next years. I know there's been a lot of questions around Javier's bike, whether he has it. Jan Frodeno didn't come to long course and start riding the fastest bike split straight away either. He had to, it took him a little while too. And I think Javier fully committed to it is, like I said, it's an exciting prospect. And yeah, he's just one of my favorite athletes, mate. So I just want to see him do well. So yeah,
You're right though. The sport has got a short memory, and for athletes of their caliber, Gomez and Brownlee, you start straddling the distances like that and not finding the success that you should be finding at either, then people start to not forget about you because you're still the names that you are, but they start to go, oh yeah, well his time is done then, because he's fading. And I think with the decisions that both of them have made to focus on the 70.3 and the longer distance now and fully commit to that, we could see a turning around of that, because people will start to go, oh, hang on a second. He's not faded. They're not gone. They're back, and they are back performing at their very best. And I really like to see that, man. I want to see, because we talk a lot, and every time you mention Gomez, because you're a super fan, I go, no, he's done, mate. And I would like to be proved wrong. And I'd love to, because I like Javier Gomez. He's a thoroughly nice bloke, and he's an incredible athlete. And I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him prove me wrong. But I say it partially just to wind you up, to be honest. But
he's probably the person that's given me the worst case of whiplash in my entire life. I was in New Zealand doing the Port of Tauranga half. I think it was 2018, maybe at this point, and I knew that Javier Gomez's wife is from New Zealand. I know that, but I had no idea. So I'm running along, doing like day before Recco run, and Javier Gomez runs past me, and I whipped my neck so hard to just like, what the, was that Javier Gomez? And I literally had a sore neck for like 3 days afterwards. But I did get a photo with Javier after the race. It's like one of my favorite things. I was so nervous. I was up to him and I was like, excuse me, Mr. Gomez, do you mind if I get a photo? He's like, yeah, no worries. I was like, oh, thank God. It was very funny. But yeah, I'm a big Javier Gomez fan.
Raced him, mate, shoulder to shoulder on the start line.
I did the relay. He only did the bike league, mate, unfortunately. So
there you go. Okay.
This next article, James Bell, came out. I saw it today, and I thought it was so good that we had to talk about it. Firstly, the fact that this comes from the New York Times, I think, is a pretty good sign of things for our sport. But I found that there's a lot of stuff in this article that I really enjoyed. Now, it is a long article, and I have chopped out what I think are the best parts of it, but there is still a lot. So I would highly recommend every single person go and find. I tweeted this. I put up a tweet that I'll put up. I just quote tweeted it. So check my Twitter at TJFord14 if you want to read it, or while you're there, give me a follow. But this article is called "Why Do They Swim, Bike, Run So Fast?" Data. It's from Kevin Fangart from the New York Times. Data. The data. His results shook the triathlon world to an extent. So we're coming in, like, not at the start again. I've chopped out bits. His results shook the triathlon world to the extent that bewildered Blumenfeld, 26. He said the strange thing for us was that the Cosmo race got at least as much attention as the Olympics, he said, referring to winning his gold medal in Tokyo. That blows my mind, first of all, James. Like, I think that's absolutely crazy, but we'll get into that. They said, as in all endurance sports, doping is, of course, a concern. In 2021, the triathletes Yulia Yelestrovova of Ukraine, Igor Polyansky, and Alexander something, both of Russia, tested positive for blood-boosting substances EPO. Blumenfeld said he was not tested in Cozumel. But there is another explanation for Blumenfeld's victories in Tokyo and Mexico. Data. Is that data? Data? Which do you say? Tell me. And
I say data.
Data.
Yeah.
If the Oakland A's were a Trojan horse for analytics in baseball and other ball sports, Norway's national team is a triathlon leader in taking the Moneyball approach. They are changing the minds of a lot of people, said an early innovator in triathlon sports science, Dan Lorang, who coaches Frodeno, the 2019 Ironman world champion, and Annie Haug. Even if nobody knows exactly how they're doing it, everybody now sees science seems to have a big impact on performance. Then they look back to 2011 when they started the team. When Blumenfeld was 16, Arnold Tvetten, an accomplished Ironman triathlete, took over as a coach and brought a new level of professionalism to the team. 4 years later, the coach met Olav Alexander Bø, an engineer and serial entrepreneur who changed the trajectory of Norway's team. Bø shadowed Blumenfeld and the Norwegian delegation at the Rio Olympics in 2016 and became convinced that aside from riding faster and making bicycles lighter, the sport hadn't made any significant technological advances in years. Here was an endurance sport in which athletes engaged in multiple training sessions involving multiple disciplines every day. They were always on a clock, generating data from heart rate monitors and VO2 max tests, which measures the maximum amount of oxygen an athlete can use. But Boo did not think enough data was being collected or properly understood. He took an investigative approach, leafed through the established literature, sought out ongoing research, and measured every variable he could find. He strapped Blumenfeld and others with upwards of 20 sensors, more than Lorang ever used. He pricked their ears and smeared their blood on lactate meters multiple times during each training session. He even taught Blumenfeld to take his own blood. A VO2 mask allowed Boo to collect carbon isotopes to determine the source of carbohydrates Blumenfeld burned while training. Were they from his body's glycogen stores? Sorry, were they from his body's glycogen stores, which are difficult to replace during a race, or were they derived from gels and drinks he ingested? When glycogen stores burns, athletes are liable to bonk and fade. If they burn only what they eat and drink, they can go all day and outlast their competitors. Boo continues to probe the margins, looking for any advantage. Nothing is out of bounds. He has had Blumenfeld drink a $2,000 bottle of water infused with oxygen isotopes that can be collected in urine samples and analyzed to gauge his overall oxygen efficiency. He has also been known to collect and burn fecal samples to better understand Blumenfeld's ability to metabolize carbohydrates. Yes, like feces, data is everywhere. Blumenfeld's hope is a sign of things to come. In May, he will compete in the 2021 St. George race, and in October, Kona. And he's looking. So he said it took Frodeno 4 years to go from Olympic gold to Ironman champion. Blumenfeld's looking to do it in 10 months. Will the most advanced science in sport, which in January included perfecting his cycling form and equipment in a European wind tunnel, provide the margin he needs to become the talk of triathlon again? As an athlete, it can be tricky to find improvements, Blumenfeld said. But when you go into the lab, it becomes easier to find your weaknesses. There are areas we think we can put more time, effort in and improve. Boo was more direct. It will almost be like taking candy from kids, he said. It's actually that simple.
That's a quote to end on, isn't it? That's the quote to end on. Hey? I mean, good on him. I love this article because I love listening to what they've done and no stone unturned. Firstly, I would quite like a $2,000 bottle of water. I just want that for no other reason than drinking a bottle of water for $2,000 would make me feel weird.
You're not worried about the isotopes?
Secondly, now look, I think there's a serious point to be made here. I mean, coming from a background of watching and loving professional cycling for so long, there's always a part of my brain that goes into a dark mode when I read articles about how performances are based on science and all these things that people have done, and we leave no stone unturned. So I think that element of it has to be, caveated with, I believe in all this because I think I see what they're doing. And I think the world has changed from 20 odd years ago, back when it was a lot easier to smoke and mirrors things. The world's a lot more open place now. Social media has opened us all up. It's very hard to keep things on the down low or thread a narrative that you want people to hear without giving them the ability to trace that narrative back and actually find out what's happening and what isn't. So to hear them go through in detail the steps that they've taken and the performance gains that they've found, it was fascinating. What are your thoughts on it all?
I probably read a third of the article just then, and I know that was quite lengthy, but I think everything I read was great, and I think it's that's the best bits, and the rest of it's just as good. So I encourage everybody to go track that article down and find it. I just, I say this so much. I love the attitude where they're just like, it's like taking candy from babies. Like it's actually that simple to us. Like that just shows me their mindset, and that's what I find. That's what I love about that Norwegian team so much. Is it's just like we're here to fuck shit up. Like we don't care. We're just gonna do our thing, and we're gonna show everybody like how good we are. And I think that's really exciting. You cannot deny the impact that their scientific approach has taken to professional training these days. If you watch any pro athletes YouTubes now, you see them doing their lactic tests. I was in the lab at the end of last year doing a VO2 max test, and it's just becoming part of it now. And that's because we've had these guys come in and just go, kaboom. This is how we do it, and that's what happens. This is why the bar always moves forward, is because when somebody starts to make a substantial improvement over everybody else, everyone sits and goes, "What are they doing? We need to do it," and they replicate, and that's what we're going to see. So like I said, I love the fact. I love a few things. I love the fact that New York Times are talking about triathlon. I think that's fantastic. I like that we are, as you said, they're being quite open about things, and then I love that insight into their mind where they're just like, "We're gonna, you look out! Like this is too. Nobody can beat us." And I again, whether they're right or wrong, I don't care. I love that they believe it, and I think that's as a fan such an exciting thing. So it's good, man. It's really
Yeah, I
good.
mean the impact they've had on the sport and other athletes can be summed up by one action, really, and that they've got the untrainable, the unmovable, the unshakable Lionel Sanders to be tempted across to look at their training methods and sign up to how they do things through Mikel. So, if that bar can be moved, then they've had quite the impact.
I think I was saying to Chris on our bonus show that I did with him last week or the week before, whenever it was. I was saying like I've had multiple people now reach out to me on social media because they know I've lived in Norway, and they've asked me about if I know any Norwegian triathlon coaches. And I'm like, oh yeah, like why? And they're like, oh well, I want to do what the Norwegians are doing. And I'm like, it's not that they're Norwegian. That's not what makes them special. It's not that they're born in Norway. It's the Norwegian high performance team takes a particular approach that I think most coaches in the world are probably replicating. I love the idea of just giving them some
Yeah,
some they get
Dave
some
from
Norwegian
Norway.
coach, and he's just like watched Rocky too many times, so he's like, go out into my barn, start chopping wood and shit, and they're like, oh, this is what they must do over here? It's like, nah. Yeah, you make a very good point. I think the fact I always think Lionel is probably the most relatable pro for a lot of people out there, and yeah, seeing him do that, like you saw, if you watch his content, you've seen the way he started talking about them, the way he started wondering about them, and the fact that like I genuinely, when we heard that Mikael I was not surprised. Like I was not surprised at all. I was like, it doesn't surprise me. Like you could see the reasons without him even saying it. You knew why he was doing it, because again, we're talking about it. I'm not criticizing, but we saw him change his diet after he got, he went completely vegan. And he always sort of chops and changes things to look at what he thinks other people are doing. And I think he's probably onto a winning formula, hopefully, with Mikael, because I think that they do good stuff. So yeah,
Yeah. There
hey.
needs to be a meme, doesn't there? There's got to be a meme somewhere. Lionel Sanders gazing at Christian Blumenfeld. Somehow that meme needs making. Yeah.
Looking, let's say that Kermit, the one. I wonder if my bike ever thinks about me, and it's just Lionel thinking about Christian and Gustav. That's very funny. I'll get you to make that, James. You're a meme. You're a meme generator. Let's move on, mate. This one we're going to breeze through because we're going pretty well. And this also comes from Try Today from tomorrow, and it is the fact that we've got the inaugural Triathlon eSport World Championship Series has been announced for London, Munich, and Singapore. Following on from recently confirmed partnerships between Super League Triathlon and World Triathlon to grow global esports World Championship Series, the Arena Games London has been named as one of 3 global cities that will host the Games in 2022. Taking place on Saturday, the 23rd of April, at the London Aquatic Centre, the UK's capital city will once again host an Arena Games event. This follows the 2021 event, which saw the return of competitive sport to the capital, where Alex Yee, Georgia Taylor-Brown, Johnny Brownlee, Jess Limont took centre stage on home turf, and Limont was crowned the winner of the women's triple mix. The Arena Game locations for this year are April 9th, 2022 in Munich, April 23, London, and May 7th, Singapore Grand Final. And it's interesting to note that's the same weekend as the St. George World Championships. They say each event will contribute points to the World Triathlon World Ranking, and the athletes who collect the most points over the course of the series will be awarded the first ever Triathlon eSport World titles in Singapore. We are delighted to welcome three amazing cities such as London, Munich, and Singapore to our roster of hosts. We cannot think of a better scenario for the 2022 season of the Arena Games, said World Triathlon President and IOC member Marisol Casado. Jimbo, here we go. World Championships of Esports, mate.
Banging. We knew it was coming, didn't we? Because both of us were very surprised by how much we enjoyed the arena games. We weren't expecting to, because we are old and we had that sort of we don't like change approach going on. But I was particularly surprised. I think that I enjoyed it as much as I did, and it's great to see them formalizing a championship like this and getting the dates out, and there'll be cracking Super League standard coverage, and they'll be looking backwards into last year and using all of their experience from last year to make it better as well. So what an exciting series this will be.
Do you think we're going to see crowds? Are we going to finally be in a position where we're going to see crowds at these races? So we're going to see an actual arena full of spectators?
Yeah, man, let me tempt fate. Totally, of course we are. COVID's going to be over by spring. No, yeah, I hope so, mate. I hope, because we know as well as everyone else that the atmosphere is lifted beyond belief when you've got a crowd screaming and baying for a result. It's a bit disappointing that the Singapore one will be on the same weekend as St George, if I'm honest, because it means I won't be able to watch it probably because I'll be at St George. But if the time zones allow, which I can't do off the top of my head, I don't know the difference between Singapore and America.
It's a
Then
lot.
maybe we can watch it at night or in the morning or something. But yeah, I think if they have crowds there, it's going to be electric, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I like it. It's a new thing, and we know what they're. I think if you can read between the lines what they're trying to do with this, I think we could see this at Olympic Games in the future.
Yeah,
If they
man.
head
And
that
how
way.
cool would that be? How cool would that be?
That'd be great. Like I said,
Yeah.
I just really, I think we've seen it for the last 2 years, and I've enjoyed it, and I want to see it go to that next level with the live crowds. I think that would be great, and I like that they're trying new venues because they did. It wasn't Munich last year; it was Rotterdam again. I think was that right? Was it Rotterdam again? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It
it
was in
was.
the
Yeah.
Netherlands
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Maya raced it.
Yeah. She did.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going, mate. We've only got one more thing to go through, and that is this comes from Sarah Wasner Flynn at Triathlete Magazine again. And that is the fact that Flora Duffy is a dame. Just call her Dame Duffy. This week, Flora Duffy was awarded damehood in the Queen's New Year's Honours List, which recognises achievements and service of extraordinary people across the United Kingdom. Duffy was made a Dame Commander of the British Empire, or OBE, the female equivalent of knighthood, for her services to sport in Bermuda, in particular, winning the country's first ever Olympic gold medal at the Tokyo Games. Her medal was also the first in history for any Caribbean nation at the Olympics. Other triathletes also made the honours list. Duffy wasn't the only triathlete on the honours list, though. Brits Johnny Brownlee, Jess Limont, Lauren Steadman, Georgia Taylor Brown, and Alexander Yee are also amongst the 1,278 people to nab a spot on the prestigious list. They earned the nod for bringing home gold medals in the Tokyo Olympics. So Brownlee, Limont, Taylor Brown, and Yee in the mixed relay event, and Paralympian Steadman in the PTS 5 category. Another honoree of note, Sarah Springman, the former president of British Triathlon and pro triathlete, and as one of the world's most accomplished academic geotechnical engineers, was he designated a Dame Commander for services to engineering and to international sports administration. You're a Lord, James, so how does this make you feel
Yeah.
that you've got more dames?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, Lord Bale. I always forget that I have that lordship. Yeah, man, this is cool. I love a bit of alliteration as well. Dame Duffy. Happy with that.
Dame Duffy. Dame
Um,
Duffy.
yeah. So yeah, mate, it's very cool to always see our sport being recognised in the mainstream, because we are still, despite the explosion of triathlon as a participation sport over the last 15, 20 years, it's really great to see the professional side be dragged into the mainstream a little bit, because we are still a niche sport, and these are some of the best athletes in the world, and for them to get recognized on this level is well deserved.
I was mostly wanting to talk about Flora Duffy, and then I saw that the other thought I saw, I've got to chuck those in too. But I think one of the things we probably don't understand as people outside of Bermuda is the impact of Flora's performance. Like, again, for us as fans of triathlon, we're like, oh, it's great. Flora Duffy's a great athlete. It's great to see the success that we think she deserves. If probably in Bermuda, I think we would understand the gravity of this for that country. Like the fact
Yeah.
that it is their first ever gold medal. Like that is. I mean, I can think back to some of the moments for Australia, like the first time we ever, well, the only time, unless you want to count Bradley Wiggins, which we do, that an Australian won the Tour de France. One of the biggest moments ever. Like when Australia started to get the Ashes back, like Australia qualifying for the World Cup. Like these moments, I remember were some of my fondest ever memories ever, not just of sport. So I think these sort of things remind us of the impact of Flora Duffy's performance for that very, very small nation in the Caribbean, and it's incredible, and that's why she's such a amazing athlete, mate. So
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I remember how important it was to me when the first Brit won the Tour de France in 2012 with Bradley Wiggins. So yeah,
you mean the
and also,
Australian,
yeah,
the half
also I
Australian, half British Bradley Wiggins, correct?
you mentioned the Ashes, but the Ashes, it's just the Ashes isn't anything anymore. It's just a boring competition that there's nothing. I don't understand why that's important. It's not important, is it?
There was that period where you guys beat us a little bit, and then it was like, okay, we care about this again. Give us another 10 years of whooping you, we won't care about it anymore. But yeah, Flora Duffy, man, what an athlete. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
well
go and do a
deserved.
triathlon of Bermuda.
She's tremendous, and I think she's got many more years of tremendous performances in her.
Well, one of the things we can talk about is what we predict from Flora Duffy, because what we do at the start of every year, James Bale, is we make
Wow.
some predictions and bets about what's going to happen in the year of 2022. Our last episode, we wrapped up 2021. We put it in a nice bow. We put it away and said, that's it. Let's not talk about 2021 too much until we immediately talk about it this week. But let's cast our view to the future, James, and what we think is going to happen in 2022. Like I like this to right now, with the only knowledge we have of what's happened in the past, who we think is going to do what this year. I've come up with some topics for us to talk around, and we're gonna. And I know you hate it. I know you hate going out on a limb like this because you're scared of, I don't know, being completely wrong, like you often are, to be honest. So it's fair. Let's do it, James Barr. Where do you want to start? Because we don't have to go in a particular order, but I think the obvious place to start is something. But I want to see where you think we should start.
I think we should start with St George because
I agree. I
it's
concur.
coming up fairly soon, and also we're going to be doing that training camp, the MX Endurance training camp, which you can sign up and register for by joining MX Endurance. Um, but yeah, St George is going to be not only a race to predict, but also it's going to be a race out of the ordinary, isn't it? Because
Yep.
we very rarely, I mean, we don't often get to see the Ironman World Championships decided on a course that isn't Kona. So it's an opportunity for athletes that may not be as suited for a Kona style course to come out and have a different style of race, and we could for a short period of time, because it'll only be a few months across this year until the one in Kona later on. We could have a very different looking men's and women's winner, Ironman World Champion. So it's an intriguing race, and I think there's a couple of obvious contenders, but there's also some head and some heart in this for me.
Come on, mate. Do you want? Okay, I'll let. Do you want to go out on a limb and actually predict podiums, or do you just want to say athletes to watch out for, play it safe, or because I want to go podiums. I want to go podiums and potential podiums. But I don't want to force you to do anything.
No, I'll do podiums. I mean, you're acting like I'm scared of speculation, mate. I'll stare this down. I'll stare this down.
Well, let's start with the women's, mate. What do you think? What do you think? Who are the people? Let's go the podium, and then people that could be the podium. So our podium picks, and then the people that could also be in the podium. Let's do it that way. We don't have to go 1, 2, 3. We'll go one. We'll just pick our top 3.
Oh, I think Lucy Charles Barkley is obviously in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yep.
is a tremendous athlete, and the performances we saw this year are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kat Matthews is in that conversation as well because she's got a killer run on her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still holding out for Daniela Reeve to come back and the old campaigner to lay down a marker and say I'm still here.
Interesting choices. Interesting choices. That's very interesting. What about some special mentions? Some other potential podium getters. Who do you think are the? Let's get two more. So we'll go top 5.
All right, then I'm going to put Sky Monch in there because she's fantastic.
Yep.
And Anna Haug as well.
Okay. Good. Interesting. So we'll move on. Oh, I got to do it, don't I? I should probably do the same thing.
You got to do it, bro. Come on.
I'm going to put Lucy Charles, Annie Haug, and Kat Matthews as my top 3.
Hang on, did you just copy me?
No, I didn't.
Oh no, you changed Anna Haug out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I did, and I'm going to put Daniela Reeve. Oh, who's one more? Actually, this is a bit hard. one more. I just want to be. I'd love to pick Sky, but I want to be different to you. Or Phillips.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my 5. That's my 5. What about the men's? Who do you think is going to do the men's, mate? The men's is the one I'm actually like, I don't know. I don't know who to pick here.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you should go first on this one. I think we should alternate.
That's fair.
Otherwise,
That's
it looks
fair.
like you're just following me everywhere like you normally do.
Okay, because I genuinely I could pick 6 people for the top 3 here. I think like I find this men's race so tight. I have to go. Jan Frodeno. But maybe there's an asterisk because we're not sure if he's going to race. I think he will. I think Jan Frodeno is definitely there. I can't get past Christian Blumenfeld just based on what we've seen and what we've read in that article. And then this is the one because I know who I want to pick, but there's 2 of them. There's 2 that I want to pick. And it's hard, man. I actually don't because either way, I'm not going to get to pick one of the people that I want. And I think I know who you're going to pick, so I'm going to try to get in and fuck. Can you have 2? Can we do 2 and 2, and then you put your third one up?
I thought we were doing 3, which is the podium, and then 2 bonuses.
It's too hard.
So far, you've picked Frodeno,
Blumenfeld, and I'm battling
you've got a
between
final podium.
I'm battling between Joe Skipper and Gustav Eden. They're my 2 that I don't know which one to go with.
I know who I would go with out of those 2 for this distance in this race.
Who? I'm going to go Joe Skipper.
Okay.
I'm going Joe Skipper. Right. There's my 3rd. Joe Skipper,
Jan Frodeno. Who are your 2 bonuses?
Gustav Eden and Patrick Langer.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna be very shadowy of you on this one, but I'm gonna have Blumenfeld. Blumenfeld is obviously gonna win it. Jan Frodeno is also on my podium. I'm gonna have Joe Skipper as well, so I'm copying you, but I'm gonna have Lionel Sanders as one of my bonuses, and I'm also gonna have Gustav.
Mate, Lionel's the other one that I could feel in there. It was just.
Hey, what about Patrick Lang as well?
I picked him.
Oh,
he was my bonus.
Oh, okay, all right.
I had Gustav and Patrick. I had Patrick and Gustav, and you had Lionel and Gustav. Yeah.
Lionel and Gustav. Yeah, I put Lionel in because I really think Lionel's last year. I enjoyed it.
Very impressive. So did I.
It would make me happy to see him in the mix.
I genuinely wonder how much he regrets not racing at 70.3 World Championships. Like, again, he'll never admit it, but I wonder when he's alone at night going, I could have got a podium there.
Another meme.
Not thinking of Christian this time. Mate, that again, and I don't want to, this isn't about disrespecting women because I think there are some absolutely incredible women racing, but that men's field for St. George, if everybody shows up to St. George, and because of that uncertainty, because then you've got these athletes within Cam Worth, Sebastian Kienle, Tim O'Donnell, Ben Hoffman. Like, there's so many people, mate. I've probably forgotten Rasmus Svenningsen. Like, there's so many athletes we've not even mentioned that could just be in the mix, and it's so exciting to me about what we're going to see. Because again, as I've said, Kona, I appreciated it, but you sort of know what's going to happen. Like, you sort of know how the script goes. Whereas with St. George, I have no idea what's going to happen, and I love that. So that's why I'm so excited by it. But yeah, we've talked about St. George enough, so we're going
to be there, bro. We're going to be standing by the side of the road, watching it all shake out. I think
Jan Frodeno is going to win it, though. That's my Jan Frodeno is going to win it.
All right. Well, I'm going to say Christian Blumenfeld's going to win it, and me and you are going to bet the cost of dinner that evening on that result.
Deal. That's a good deal. I like it. Jan Frodeno, nice. I've got him. I'm going to pick him. Jan's my boy, mate.
You are buying me such a nice dinner. It's going to be like Michelin star.
Imagine we see those 3 guys running shoulder to shoulder. Fucking hell. It would be, yeah. I don't care. I'll buy a lobster for a week, mate, after that happens. So it'd be great.
Don't eat meat or fish. Don't buy me a lobster. No,
you'll be fine. I'll get you a lettuce. and grill it.
Give me a
sub 7, sub 8. The Phoenix sub 7, sub 8 powered by Zwift. Who wins and what are their times?
Blumenfeld is going to cream Brownlee. And Blumenfeld is going to do it in under 6:45.
Ooh, interesting.
Brownlee is going to go sub 7, but he's going to be above 6:45.
Okay, interesting.
I think both are going to go sub 7, but Blumenfeld is going to be under 6:45. On the women's side, Lucy Charles Barkley is going to beat Nicola Spirig. I believe I would quite like Nicola Spirig to not to beat Lucy Charles Barkley, but I believe Lucy Charles Barkley is going to take it by a considerable margin. But I think they'll both go
Interesting.
sub 8 fairly easily.
I heard an interesting thing that Nicola was talking about her approach to sub 8, because Nicola Spirig is like a two-time Swiss marathon champion. Like Nicola Spirig can run. She's run a 2:32 marathon. Like she can run. And I heard her say that all she needs to do is keep Lucy Charles. Like she knows she's going to lose time to Lucy in the swim. She can hold Lucy. She can keep that gap the same on the bike, and then she just runs her down on the run. And I love that approach. Like I love that Nicola is very much like, this is what I'm going to, and she's treating it like this is what Lucy's doing. This is what I'm going to do. Uh, yeah, man. I am.
And getting herself in
I've
that mindset before the race is going to do her a favor as well, because otherwise she could be at risk of thinking, well, I'm chasing, as opposed to going, no, I've got a plan. I should be
yeah.
behind. I should be behind now, and I should be behind on the bike, and then I'm going to do her on the run. So yeah, I like that.
I think. See, full disclosure, I put up I'm one of the people behind the Phoenix Instagram. We did a thing about how much faster can Christian go after he did that Cosmo time, and he answered. He answered how fast he can go, and so I have a rough idea of what I think Christian thinks he can do. So I need to be a little bit careful with what I say here, I think. But
Yeah, but that
do
was a
you
public
think?
answer. Was that a public answer?
No, no.
No.
It was
Okay. All right.
yeah, it was just a message. It was a
Oh
message.
yeah. Okay.
Um, I mean, he could have just been taking the piss. I don't know. Um, I think it's going to be Christian, to be honest, but I think it's going to be. I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see sub 6:45. I think we're probably going to be seeing closer to 6:50 ish, 6:55 maybe. I think Ali's going to be closer to Christian than we realize. I think people have, yeah, they've counted Alistair Brownlee out, and I think that's at your own peril, because Alistair Brownlee is Alistair Brownlee. The women's race, I genuinely think the women are going to smash it. I think we're going to see those women go very close to 7.5 hours, and I think again, I think Lucy's probably going to take it, but I think it's going to be again closer. And I hope it does come down to a battle on the run. That would be so good.
It would be
So
good. And Nicholas Spirig, man, I mean, sometimes people like us, you run the risk of just not counting her out, but doing her a disservice because she's so quiet on social media. She
yep.
just gets on with it. She keeps herself to herself. She's not all bells and whistles. She's not a walking brand machine, And so you just kind of not forget about her, but just think, oh yeah. And then she there is the chance she just rocks up on the day and just does her thing, and we all go, fuck me, right?
exactly, exactly, exactly. How about St George 70.3, mate? World Championships in St George.
Yeah, Gustav Eden for the win on the men's.
Okay.
Gustav Eden, I think he's a 70.3 machine. I need to get that in first because I'm predicting you're going to say the same thing.
Okay, interesting.
I see Gustav winning it. Who would make up the podium? I think Blumenfeld will be there as well, and I
Okay.
think Lionel Sanders. I'm going to put him in my top 3 because I think he's got a very strong chance as well over that distance and that course.
Okay.
My bonus 2, Javier Gomez and Alistair Brownlee.
Interesting calls, interesting decisions. For the men's, I'm going to just pick a top 3, and I'm going to go Gustav Eden, Vincent Louis, and Christian Blumenfeld. With my bonus picks, Martin Van Riel and Yellow Gaines.
I thought you would be tempted to throw Henry Schumann in there for a second, but I'm sure
I don't know if Henry's going to race it. I was thinking
Right.
Henry, but I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not. I don't know. So that's my
It's
men's.
a good
I
shout.
think.
Yellow Gaines is a good shout. I like.
Yeah,
It's a
the
very
little
sensible.
guy. He's a little guy, and that's a
Yeah.
hilly course. So he'll bounce up those hills, mate.
Gustav
Yeah,
for the
I
win,
think.
though, bro. Come on, Gustav.
I don't
Gustav
know,
has
mate.
got 10 years of 70.3 victories in him.
He's very good, but maybe I didn't commit to a winner, mate. I picked my top 3. That's all that we said we do. Women. What are we going to see in the women podium?
Podium without picking a winner.
Yep.
Ashley Gentle's going to be on there. Lucy Charles Barkley.
Interesting.
And who else would I like to see on the women's podium?
Mate, you really, come on, mate. What are you doing?
Katie Zaviras.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah. My
Special
bonus.
mentions.
Yeah, my bonus 2. I'm going to put Jodie Stimpson.
Good shout. Yeah.
And who else is going to be on the 70.3 World's podium as my bonus pick? It's going to be.
Dun, dun,
What's her name?
dun. I don't
What's her
know.
name? I can't remember her name.
I don't know who you're going for. Who are you going for? What are you trying to pick?
I can't remember her name. Why
Paint me a
can't I
word
remember
picture.
her name?
Paint me a word picture.
That was on Bahrain. Came second to Daniela Reef loads.
I don't know who you're talking
I can't remember her bloody name.
Oh,
this is Holly Lawrence.
Giving me nothing. Oh. All right, cool. I'm gonna go. My podium is. I'm actually gonna leave Lucy off, and not because I think Lucy's got St George sub 8 and Kona on her mind. Actually, no. But then she's also no. I don't know. Lucy maybe because she's then going to commit to long. No, I'm gonna stick to. I'm gonna go Taylor Nibb, Ashley Gentle, Katie Zafiras as my podium, and I'm gonna put as my special mentions. Who did you say?
Jodie Stimpson and Holly Lawrence.
Holly Lawrence and Ellie Salthouse.
I was hoping you'd say Ellie Salthouse because after I'd said my lot, I was I forgot about Ellie Salthouse because I think she definitely needs to be added on there because she's brilliant.
She's very good, mate. She's just getting better and better. Kona, is Kona happening?
Yeah, Kona will happen. Yeah, Kona will happen.
Okay. Well, straight into it then.
Frodeno for the win.
Okay.
On the men's side, and Lucy Charles Barkley for the win on the women's side. I'm not going to bother with anything other than the winners for the Kona because I think the pool that we've already mentioned for St George stands for me. I just think the winners are going to change. I think instead of Blumenfeld, we're going to see Frodeno, and I think I'm confident in saying that Lucy Charles Barkley will win Kona this year.
Okay. Just winners. We're going a bit more. You've said Jan Frodeno. My gut says Jan Frodeno. I'm saying Jan Frodeno. For the women's race, I'm going to go Annie Haug.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to Annie Haug. Because she's got that run, mate.
The way she ran down Lucy a few years ago. It's
What else? PTO Tour and Collins Cup. I don't know what we're going to do. What do you think? Are we going to see it? Is it going to have the impact that we're expecting? Is this going to see a shift in the professional triathlon landscape?
Yeah, I think so because I think they're going to pay the money to get the athletes there. And I think with a sport that's starved of funding and starved of money and across the long course, you're gonna see the athletes that need to be that. You're not going to see a situation where they've rolled out this tour and we're going, sorry, who's Graham from Southend is racing. It's going to be, we're going to have the athletes that need to be there racing to turn people's eyes, and they are going to have the coverage that needs to be there to show people. Because, we've talked a lot about Christian Blumenfeld and what he did in Cozumel. The biggest problem with that was that we couldn't watch it. As opposed to the PTO Tour, the coverage is going to be there. So people's eyes are going to get turned, and when they go to watch it, they're going to be able to. So I think we are going to see a shift in the dynamic. Because not only do these races matter for their own merit, but they matter in terms of ranking points as well. And ranking points equals money at the end of the year. So everything comes down to that, really. I think we are going to see a substantial shift towards these races. So I think they do matter a lot. I don't think we should go through and pick winners for each one yet, because then
I just think racing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we'll see the standard pool of athletes up there and racing each other, and it'll be really exciting to see the courses get rolled out.
Tell me this, James Bell, because you're my ally in this podcast. We do this together, mate. We're obviously two peas in a pod. You are the sexiest voice in triathlon, so what you say has a lot of sway. Can I get you on board with me this year? It is the first episode of 2022. Can I get you on board with my initiative to get the Collins Cup expanded to have a Team GB team in addition to Team Europe? Can you jump on this bandwagon with me?
I am not willing to align myself with a narrative or a movement that separates the UK from Europe,
Your
because
country would tend to disagree with you.
that would give me the feeling of a nationalist knobhead, and we've got enough of those over here. So no, I'm fully pro Europe, mate, and I feel that we should embrace our European allies and enjoy being on the same side of them.
Well, can as part of the Commonwealth, then can Australia piggyback onto the Team Europe? Then, like we're technically, I mean, the Queen is our head of state, so therefore theoretically we're British. So therefore theoretically, shouldn't our athletes, shouldn't I be able to cheer for Team Europe? Then, can you get on board with that? Then,
I would suggest, as you have done in the cricket, you raise your game. Now,
man,
one thing that's annoying me about the Collins Cup is they put it on the same weekend as Ironman Copenhagen, so I'm having to withdraw from that race. So that's, come on, guys at the PTO, when you're looking at scheduling things, take into account what I'm up to. Eh?
yeah, look at James Bale. Get in touch with James, ask his schedule and work around it. Super League, I think we're going to see much of the same. I think it's going to continue to grow and get exciting. We know that there's going to be more of a focus on teams this year, which is exciting. And they've got a grand final. I don't know where it is yet, but they're going back to that grand final model, which I'm looking forward to. And I think it's otherwise the same race venues. I think Super League just continue to get better every year. But what about other things that might come up, mate? Do you think we're going to see anybody step up in distance? Do you think we might see some people announce retirements? Do you worry that some people might get injured? What do you think are the big things that may or may not happen this year?
I think we're going to see a dramatic shift this year in what the perception of what is possible across the long distance of our sport is, because I think we're going to see athletes that have bridged the gap continue to do so and going up through the gears. I think we've seen a shift in performance last year from Lucy Charles Barkley as well. I think we're going to see a shifting of emphasis as to who is at the top of the women's long course game across to her this year, and I think we're going to see. Some existing long course athletes coming to terms with the fact that maybe they need to seriously look at and approach how they do things differently in order to keep up with that shifting environment.
I wasn't paying attention to what you said, so I'm sure it was really, really good.
Oh, mate, it was dramatic. It was brilliant. Yeah, what you need to do is when you're editing the podcast, put some like cinematic music behind that bit that I just had.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Because it was really good. Are we not predicting the Commonwealth Games or the WCCS?
I just thought we're going pretty well for time, so I thought we'd give the people what they want. We're already over an hour. It's getting late here, mate. When we can give it quick.
Yeah.
Do you want to give it a quick one?
No, I'm done.
Cool. Well then, mate, take it away. What's the next thing? What's the next thing we're doing on this podcast?
Welcome to the Down Low on the PTO 2022 edition. Lisa Bentley, mate, has been appointed to the PTO board. The Professional Triathletes Organisation has appointed 11-time Ironman champion and Collins Cup Team International captain Lisa Bentley to the PTO board. Charles Adamo, executive chairman of the PTO, said Lisa was one of the first advisors we reached out to when we began the journey of establishing the PTO. She was very generous with her time and saw the vision when most thought it was a pipe dream. Her wisdom and guidance were invaluable to the organisation, and we are pleased to now have her officially part of the PTO board. She not only brings a wealth of experience from her life as a professional triathlete, but she will also be able to provide valuable insights into helping PTO professionals navigate successful transitions once their racing careers have ended. There is a quote here from Lisa. She says, "It is an honor to be able to serve as a PTO board member. It is fantastic for the PTO professionals after so many years to finally have an organization of their own so that collectively they can support the sport. I am grateful for all the work done by the existing board members in establishing the organization and look forward to working with the other board members to contribute to the vision of the PTO as we seek to support and work with all the stakeholders in the triathlon community. That continue to grow an organization that is proving to be a model for the professional sport." The wheels fell off at the very end of that, mate. I was doing quite well, I thought.
Mate, you're proving why you're the sexiest voice in triathlon, if I'm honest. That was delightful. My ears are aroused after hearing that, mate. It was an experience, and I'm sure our listeners enjoyed it just as much as I did. I like this, mate, because we discussed towards the end of last year the fact that Laura Siddle was talking about the fact that there were no women appointed to the board. And we talk a lot about how the PTO is very reactive to feedback they receive. And I don't know, but I assume that this is in reaction to that. And I think Lisa Bentley is an excellent choice to go onto the board. I think Lisa Bentley is
Yeah, I mean,
just a
I like
legend.
to think that her appointment is not a reaction for the need of a woman on the board, but more a
Make me
move
look at what you're doing to. Come on, mate. Now you're
more a
bloody
move to
Jesus
diversify
Christ. What are you doing to
and
me?
bring in different skills, because she's got a fantastic
Of
skill
course,
set, experience.
she's
And
not
so
ticking a box. I didn't mean that. Come on, mate.
I'm just saying, bro.
Jesus.
Diversification is a good thing.
You're getting a new title at the
but
start of next week's episode. The biggest dickhead intro. Throwing your mate
diversification,
under the bus.
bringing new skills and different mindsets and different ways of approaching things onto the PTO board is a fantastic move, and all power to Lisa, because she brings a wealth of experience to them. So excellent, mate. Long may it continue.
Yeah, again, like I said, not in an attempt to say that she's ticking a box, but it is good to see diversity appearing on the board, because I think it's what the sport needs. And Lisa, as I said, is a great choice for it. Again, find that article. It was from, where did I get the article from? Gary, our mate Gary at endurance.biz. You can find some more information about Lisa. I mean, if you don't already know, she's
I forgot about
great
Gary.
Career. Yeah, I noticed you didn't do that, mate.
You're
too busy.
right.
You're too busy enunciating your words sensually.
Yeah.
Well, let me try to announce my words sensually, James, because if you liked the cadence at which James Bale, Christ almighty, if you liked the cadence at which James Bale spoke, if you liked the goosebumps that his voice put on the back of your neck, if you want to get access to exclusive James Bale ASMR, we don't make it yet, but we can, head to mxendurance.com/podcast, where you can sign up for one of our podcast memberships. It's new year, perfect time to sign up. You get the whole year's bonus content that we do every single month. As James said, we have that camp coming up in St. George. MX members always get a discount on every camp that we run. So if you want to get involved and you want to do it cheap, head over to mxendurance.com. Prices as little as $3.40 a month. I think we've got 18 or 19 bonus episodes now that you can listen to all of them. They're not really time sensitive. It's just us talking stuff with Chris that you can't hear if you're not a member. You get partner discounts. We said at the end of last year, we signed a deal with Mortan. So you get discounts on their range of nutrition now, a whole bunch of other partner discounts, exclusive members content, supports the podcast. It will help us go and do our stuff in St. George. It will help us get as much content. We're going to ring that content sponge in St. George, James. We're going to get great guests on. It's going to be great. So if you want to get involved, help us do that stuff, head to mxendurance.com/podcast if you want to find out other things about MX Endurance. James Bale, where do they go?
What's an ASMR?
It's the order. What is it? It's the impact where you hear certain words and it like makes you have a physical reaction to it. Oh. So it might be like rain falling outside or somebody whispering at the back of your neck, and you get the little prickles on the back of your neck.
Oh, okay.
It's not a sex thing. Some people think it's a weird sex thing. It's not a sex thing. It's a like it relax. It's the physical reaction your body has when it does something that makes it relax, and it's often triggered by noises. So
audio, sensual, relative medium or something, I guess, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to find out more about MX Endurance, head to mxendurance.com or search MX Endurance on Facebook or at MX Endurance on Twitter or Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram, or you can follow Tim at tford14 on Instagram. Jump onto iTunes, give the show a review. You can do it in the podcast app, and it really helps the show out, and it's super easy. If you like what we're doing, tell a friend, help us grow the podcast. If you've got any suggestions, guests, or anything you'd like us to talk about, or any comments on our predictions, send an email to podcast@mxendurance.com.
For example, James, it's meant to happen when you whisper into somebody's ear. That's an example of it. So I don't know whether that works, but that's what it is. So anyway, yeah. James Bale, a pleasure. We're back, mate. The first of 50 odd of these we're going to do this year. Probably more because we're going to do a lot of them in St. George and other events that we're at this year. But, mate, a pleasure as always. Until next week, talk to you later.
Take care.